Good afternoon, guys. Sorry I'm running behind today. I had a doctor's appointment this morning. So let's dive into part 7, shall we? Can the brain learn safety again? When a person has lived in survival mode for a long time, safety can begin to feel unfamiliar. Not because they want to stay stuck, not because they're unwilling to heal, but because the brain and nervous system are built to learn from repeated experience. They learn what to expect. They learn what to watch for. They learn which environments feel calm and which ones require bracing. They learn which people feel safe and which ones do not. And there are very few people who even attempt to see what is really behind a person's pain, anxiety, depression, or even anger. When that fear, unpredictability, dismissal, rejection, trauma, or chronic stress have been present for a long time, the brain often adapts around that reality. It becomes efficient at scanning, at anticipating, at protecting, at staying ready. Those adaptations are not weakness. They are evidence that the nervous system has been trying to help a person survive. But survival mode is exhausting. And after enough time, many people begin to wonder whether their brain will ever feel different again. Whether safety will always feel out of reach. Whether calm will always feel temporary. Whether they will always be waiting for the next disappointment, the next symptom flare, the next loss, the next moment of being misunderstood. These are not small questions. And for many people, they do not have simple answers. But there is something important neuroscience has taught us. The brain can learn. It can adapt. It can change. It can form new associations over time. That does not mean deep wounds disappear overnight. It does not mean trauma vanishes just because someone wants it to. It does not mean a person can simply decide to stop being hypervigilant and suddenly feel fine. Healing is rarely that simple. But the brain is not static. The nervous system is not incapable of change. And safety can be relearned, often slowly, through repeated experiences that communicate something different than what the body has known before. Safety is not learned only through words. It is learned through experience, through consistency, through gentleness, through compassion. Those that take the time to not only hear me, but actually listen instead of assuming or filling in their own versions of who I am and what is really happening. Through people who do not punish honesty. Through environments where the body is not constantly preparing for impact. through moments where a person tells the truth and is not met with disbelief or dismissal or minimization of what they are experiencing. Through relationships where they are allowed to have needs without being made to feel like a burden. Through medical spaces where they are listened to instead of rushed. Through friendships where they do not have to translate their pain into something easier for others to tolerate. Through rest that is not interrupted by fear. Through small moments of calm repeated often enough that the nervous system begins, little by little, to believe them. Sometimes relearning safety looks dramatic from the outside. More often, it does not. Sometimes it looks like answering a message without immediately bracing for conflict. Sometimes it looks like finally speaking up and doing so honestly and not apologizing for it. Sometimes it looks like allowing help. Sometimes it looks like noticing that the body softened for a moment and choosing not to dismiss that moment just because it did not last all day. Sometimes it looks like recognizing a safe person and slowly allowing them closer. Sometimes it looks like grieving who and what should have been safe, but wasn't, while still remaining open to the possibility that safety can exist somewhere else. This matters because healing is not always the absence of symptoms. Sometimes healing is the presence of something new. A little more trust, a little more honesty, a little less bracing, a little more room to breathe, a little more ability to recognize danger accurately instead of living as though danger is everywhere all the time. The goal is not perfection. The goal is not to become untouched by pain. The goal is not to erase every adaptation that helped someone survive. The goal is to help the nervous system learn that survival is not the only mode available anymore. That there can be room for rest alongside vigilance. Room for connection alongside fear. Room for steadiness alongside grief. Room for truth without punishment. Room for a body and a brain that have carried too much for too long to begin slowly experiencing something kinder. Can the brain learn safety again? I believe it can. Not all at once, not without support, not without time, not without setbacks. But yes, I believe it can. Because the same brain that learned to protect can also learn to soften. The same nervous system that learned to brace can also learn what feels like what it feels like to exhale. And sometimes healing begins there, not in a dramatic breakthrough, not in a perfect ending, but in the quiet repetition of experiences that say, you are safe enough to rest here. You are safe enough to tell the truth here. You are safe enough to be human here. Remember the human. What we cannot see is often carrying the greatest weight. This is just a nurse writing from a patient's chair. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again tomorrow for the series closure.